Hey there, and welcome to Scary Tales. Valentine's Day is supposed to be about love, but tonight we're diving into chilling tales that prove otherwise. Some dates end in romance, others end in terror. I know many of you love listening to these stories to relax or fall asleep. Before you drift off, drop a comment and let me know where you're listening from. And if you're enjoying these spine-tingling tales, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps keep the scares coming. Now, turn off the lights, get comfortable, and let's begin. Story number 1. Valentine's Day. A night for romance, right? Not for me. 4 years ago, it became a night of sheer terror. A story I still can't believe is real. It started innocently enough. My boyfriend and I were heading to a cute dinner, like every other couple. As we walked in, I noticed a couple outside, staring at us. It was a weird vibe, but I brushed it off. Inside, the wait was 45 minutes. My boyfriend suggested mini-golf across the street. Fine by me. But as we walked back to his car, the woman from the staring couple approached us. She introduced herself as Mrs. Greddy, which already felt off. She and her husband were photographers, she said, and they thought we were a great-looking couple. They wanted to take our photos at their studio, a 5-minute drive away. No business card, just a vague invitation. Red flags were popping up everywhere. My boyfriend politely declined, saying we had plans. The look on her face as she smiled was haunting. It was a smile that didn't reach her eyes, a smile that promised something unsettling. We got in the car, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was seriously wrong. The husband hadn't said a word the entire time, just stood there like a statue. At the mini-golf place, it was eerily empty. We tried to laugh it off, but I was on edge. The place wasn't huge. You could see the entrance from everywhere. On our 5th round, the entrance bell rang. My heart sank. It was them. Mrs. Greddy gave me the creepiest smile I'd ever seen. I told my boyfriend we needed to leave. As we turned to go, they were right behind us. Crazy how we both came to this spot, Mrs. Greddy said. Then the husband spoke for the first time. We should face each other. Greddy versus Rod. My boyfriend's blood ran cold. Rod was his last name. How did they know that? We didn't even introduce ourselves. We refused, terrified of what they might do. We rushed out, deciding to scrap the whole night. But my boyfriend insisted we shouldn't let some weirdos ruin our Valentine's Day. We waited in the car, talking about how bizarre the whole thing was. Then, the restaurant texted our table was ready. We went back, had dinner, and tried to relax. My boyfriend insisted on paying, it being Valentine's Day and all. He went to the bathroom, and I swear I saw Mrs. Greddy peeking around a corner. I told myself I was imagining things. After dinner, we headed to my boyfriend's place. The drive was through a long, tree-lined road. Suddenly, we heard a loud pop. 2 flat tires. My boyfriend jumped out of the car, his face pale. "Get out, they're coming," he yelled, cutting the engine and turning off the lights. I was terrified, completely confused. He pulled me from the car, and we ran into the woods. He told me to be quiet, to lie flat on the ground. He called the cops, but the connection was bad. He hung up, telling me we couldn't stay on the line. We lay there, hidden in the bushes, listening. We heard a car pull up. Then Mrs. Greddy's voice clear as a bell. "We took too long." A car door slammed, and the car sped away. We stayed hidden until the police arrived. We told them everything. They took a report, but there wasn't much they could do. My sister had to come pick us up. The tow truck took my boyfriend's car. 4 years later, we still have no idea who they were or what they wanted. We're married now, with a crazy story to tell our kids. But that Valentine's Day, it was the most terrifying night of my life. And it taught me that sometimes the scariest monsters aren't the ones you expect. Story number 2. It was the fall of 2018. I was taking some online classes, but I knew I'd be transferring to my hometown university for the winter semester. Still, I was lonely and looking to meet someone. So, like a lot of people, I turned to Tinder. That's where I met Alex. She seemed cool. We had a lot in common, and soon we were dating. Things were fun for a while, but after Thanksgiving break, she changed. The playful teasing turned mean, and her whole attitude shifted. I tried to ignore it, blaming it on final stress. Then, she went home for winter break. We kept in touch, but the distance seemed to amplify the change in her. The winter semester started. I moved into my own apartment, and on the very first night, we broke up. She was homesick. She missed her family and pets, and she was just too shy to make friends in town. It was a mutual agreement, a clean break, or so I thought. Weeks passed, and I started to feel better, but as Valentine's Day approached, a pang of loneliness hit me. I had planned some surprises, and now I had no one to share them with. So a couple of days before the holiday, I reactivated my Tinder account, just to see what was out there, you know. I got a few matches, but everyone was planning on going out to bars, not my scene. Then, I matched with Alex, another Alex. This one was different. She preferred staying in and watching movies, which was exactly what I wanted. She even had the same major as one of my best friends. We hit it off instantly. We moved our conversation to Snapchat, and I asked her out for Valentine's Day. She was in. Valentine's Day 2018 fell on a Thursday, which was perfect. I didn't have Friday classes, and she said she'd skip her morning class so we could have a full night together. The first part of the date was great. We got McDonald's, saw a movie, walked around downtown. Eventually, we went back to my apartment. Things got intimate, and then we had sex. It was good. Really good. She asked if she could spend the night because it was snowing, and her place was a bit of a walk. Of course, I said yes. We fell asleep around 1 a.m. I'm a light sleeper, and around 3 a.m., I felt Alex get out of bed. I pretended to be asleep. It was dark, but I saw her head towards the bathroom. She turned on the light and closed the door. I drifted back to sleep. I woke up again at 5:30 a.m., and Alex wasn't in bed. I checked the bathroom. The light was off. I grabbed my phone. No texts, but her clothes were still on the floor. She was still here. Then I heard a creak from the other side of the bedroom. Alex was standing in the corner, facing away from me. I was freaked out. "Alex?" I called softly. No response. I turned on the bedside lamp. She didn't move. I got out of bed and walked over to her. "Alex, are you okay?" I asked, gently touching her shoulder. Still nothing. 10 seconds of silence. Just as I was about to speak again, she turned around, fast, unnaturally fast, and then she started screaming. A blood-curdling, inhuman scream. She started hitting me, not hard, but it still hurt, and the look on her face, nothing, no emotion whatsoever. I fell back onto the bed, and she kept screaming and hitting me. After about 30 seconds, she ran to her clothes, grabbed them, and bolted out the door. I jumped up and ran to the door. It was wide open. She was gone. I slammed the door shut and locked it. Then I smelled it. A horrible, disgusting stench coming from the bathroom. I opened the door and the smell hit me like a wave. The bathroom was a mess. The shower curtain was ripped down. My medicine bag was on the floor. Everything was wet. And then I saw it. She had defecated on the mirror. Smeared it all over the mirror. I called the police immediately. They came, took a report, but there wasn't much they could do. I showed them the one picture I had of her, a Snapchat photo, with a filter. They told me to have a friend sleep over in case she came back. I called my best friend, Rob, the one with the same major as Alex. He came over, and I told him everything. I showed him the picture. He said he'd never seen her in class. We watched a movie and went to sleep. Around 3 a.m., I woke up to the sound of someone trying to open my front door. I lay there, frozen, listening. After a minute, it stopped. I looked through the peephole. No one was there. Nothing has happened since, but I still get chills thinking about it. Who was she? What did she want? That Valentine's Day date was the stuff of nightmares. Story number 3. It started with a simple Instagram story, a casual reply, a little banter, and boom, I was hooked. Nikki, that's what I'll call her, was witty, gorgeous, and just my type. We quickly moved from Instagram DMs to texting, then Snapchat, and within a week, we were meeting up. It was January, the holidays were barely over, and already the pressure of Valentine's Day loomed. Honestly, meeting Nikki felt like a lucky break, a shield against the dreaded single on Valentine's feeling. We went on a few dates. Things were going great. And then Nikki dropped a bombshell. She had a stalker, a guy named Ben, a few years older, from her commuter college. Apparently, he'd latched onto her during a group project, followed her around campus, the whole 9 yards. The creepy part, he'd somehow gotten her address and bombarded her with unsettling texts. She hadn't blocked him, she explained, wanting to see just how far he'd go. Seriously? I thought. Talk about playing with fire. The timing of this revelation wasn't accidental. Ben's texts had escalated. Valentine's Day was approaching, and he was back in action. He even left a box of Russell Stover chocolates on her doorstep, confirming it with a text. I hope you like the gift I left you. That was the last straw. Nikki finally snapped, sending him a long, firm message telling him to get help, and that she was seeing someone, me. I did my best to reassure her, promising I wouldn't let him hurt her. But honestly, I was already starting to feel uneasy. Then came the next level of creepy. Nikki showed me a screenshot of a text from a fake number. It mentioned my name. Ben knew about me. This wasn't just some love-struck weirdo anymore. This was getting dangerous. Nikki was close to calling the police, and I told her I'd be right there with her if he contacted her again. Valentine's Day arrived, a Friday. Nikki and I went to a beautiful waterfront restaurant. We were enjoying our meal when we both noticed a guy sitting outside the dining area. He had a hat pulled low over his face, acting suspicious. Nikki joked, "What if that's Ben?" We laughed it off, but then he tilted his head in our direction, glanced at us, and quickly looked away. Seconds later, he got up and left. The laughter died in our throats. Could it have been him? After dinner, we weren't ready for the night to end. We went back to my place. We were on the couch. Things were getting intimate when Nikki suddenly pulled away. "What was that?" she whispered. I'd heard it too, a noise from the backyard. I went to investigate. In the darkness, I stumbled on a stack of beach chairs that had been knocked over. Weird. There wasn't a breath of wind. Then I saw him, a figure lurking in the bushes. "Who's there?" I yelled. The guy lunged out of the bushes, and I tackled him to the ground. "Stay down," I shouted, yelling for Nikki to call the police. He struggled, but I held him tight. When Nikki came outside, she gasped, "Oh my God, it's Ben!" And then I noticed it. He was wearing the same colored shirt as the guy at the restaurant. The police arrived. Ben was arrested for trespassing. Nikki pressed charges for stalking and harassment. He got a fine and a misdemeanor, and Nikki got an order of protection. Ben was the ultimate creep, and thankfully, he seemed to have finally gotten the message. 4 years later, the memory still sends chills down my spine. Valentine's Day will never be quite the same. It's a reminder of just how terrifying obsession can be, and a reminder of how quickly a seemingly innocent connection can turn into a nightmare. Thanks for listening. Goodbye. Have a restful sleep.